Today we have some really big news. The International Criminal Court in The Hague in the Netherlands have decided to issue arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, and his Minister of Defense or ex-Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant. What this means in effect is basically paralyzing the Israeli foreign policy. It will have monumental effects on Netanyahu, of course, as a person, but also on the Israeli foreign policy and Israeli standing amongst nations in the world. This is a huge deal. But let's start with me reading to you the warrant. Of course, you can find that on the website of the International Criminal Court. But I will read just the first two lines of the warrant of arrest. It says, the chamber issued warrants of arrest for two individuals, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu and Mr. Yoav Gallant, for crimes against humanity and war crimes committed from at least the 8th of October 2023 until at least the 20th of May 2024, the day the prosecution filled the applications for warrants of arrests. This is huge news. It has never happened, as far as I know, in the entirety of the Arab-Israeli conflict. This will have monumental effects. What you need to understand is a couple of things. The first, when it comes to Netanyahu as an individual, and of course relating to his work as a prime minister. The International Criminal Court has 125 states as part of it, which means that Netanyahu can now be arrested if he goes to any of these 125 countries. Now, these countries include pretty much the entirety of Europe, all of South America, Canada, Australia, South Korea, Japan. So it is a huge deal. This means that Netanyahu will not be able to visit any of these countries as a prime minister. He will not be able to go there to conduct any kinds of negotiations or talks or diplomacy. What it also means is that Netanyahu now has a serious problem every time he wants to fly somewhere else. So let's assume that Netanyahu wants to fly to the United States of America, which is not part of the ICC. When they do so, they have to seriously worry about the possibility of having some kind of an issue with the airplane, and they have to do an emergency landing. Okay? This is a serious problem because if anything happens to the plane and they have to do an emergency landing, they will have to land somewhere. And when they do so, there's a big probability that they will be arrested. So if he's flying to America and he has to land in Spain, let's say, or France or Germany, he will be arrested when he goes there. The moment he lands, he will be arrested. So that, in effect, may paralyze Israeli diplomacy and Israeli diplomatic efforts. This is one issue. The other issue is that now Israel as a state is officially being represented by somebody who is wanted for crimes against humanity by the International Criminal Court. This means a lot in terms of diplomacy, in terms of foreign affairs, in terms of Israel's standing amongst other nations. On the other hand, and on the internal front, now Netanyahu has a serious problem because he has so many issues internally from within the Israeli state. He's actually been wanted to appear in court for multiple corruption allegations and multiple problems, multiple legal problems. And now you add to that a foreign warrant of arrest against him. So now as an individual and as a prime minister, Netanyahu is in a serious problem. This, of course, will reflect on Israel. It will make it much more difficult to conduct diplomacy. Where is Netanyahu now going to be able to go and conduct his diplomacy and he won't be able to go to any of the Western European countries, for example, that he relies upon for a lot of his support. He gets a lot of support from Germany, for example, from the United Kingdom, but now he can't even go to these countries. So this is a historic and monumental ruling by the ICC. But what does it mean to be asked to show for the ICC to have a warrant of arrest against you? Okay, so there are certain implications that this basically means. Okay, so if the ICC, and as it happened, it did, the ICC now is asking for the arrest of Netanyahu, and that means that the International Criminal Court has gathered enough evidence and determined that there is reasonable cause to believe that the person in question, which is Netanyahu, has committed the alleged crimes. That means that there's enough evidence to bring him to court. That doesn't mean that there's enough evidence to find him guilty, but it's definitely enough to bring him to the court and to charge him and to put him on trial. Okay? Now, what you also need to understand is that all the states that are party to the International Criminal Court's Rome Statute are obligated to arrest and surrender the individual if they enter their jurisdiction. So as we said, all these 125 countries now are obligated to arrest Netanyahu and deliver him to court if he sets foot in any of these countries. Okay? Now, so Netanyahu now will have travel restrictions. He may have frozen assets. He will have political and diplomatic isolation. And many countries may refuse to engage with him or provide support to him. Okay? What happens if he does get arrested? If that happens, then he will be brought, he will be transferred to The Hague in the Netherlands, and he will face the charges there, and there may be a possible trial. There probably will. Okay? So this is a huge deal. This has happened before to many leaders, of whom we can mention the ex-Sudanese president, Omar al-Bashir. He's wanted for the ICC now. In fact, actually, even Vladimir Putin was wanted at some point. So this is a huge deal. As the ICC warrant has been issued, the member states of the ICC's Rome Statute, which they signed on, all these 125 countries, will be obligated, as we said, to arrest Netanyahu. And the arrest warrant for a sitting prime minister like Netanyahu would escalate investigations into broader Israeli state policies and or military actions. So particularly in areas like what's happening now in Gaza and southern Lebanon. Okay? Of course, there's going to be multiple challenges to this. The Israeli government has already challenged the court's authority. They say that the court doesn't have jurisdiction, which the court rejected in a ruling. And now, as the court has ruled that it does have jurisdiction over what's happening in Gaza and in southern Lebanon, now it has also maintained, the court, that they have the jurisdiction to bring Netanyahu to court and to trial him there, hence the warrant arrest. So this is huge news. It will have severe implications on Netanyahu as an individual and as a politician. And it's definitely one of the worst news to happen to the Israeli state or Israeli government, I guess, in multiple decades. So let's keep an eye on this. Let me know what you think. Do you think Netanyahu will actually end up in court? Do you think he will be trialed? And if he does appear in court, which I think is kind of unlikely, but if it does appear, do you think he will be going to jail? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you soon. We'll keep an eye on this. Bye.